Are all people mentally ill?
I have no idea.
Is this the Dr. Ray?
I'm out of work. How do I find a job?
I don't know.
Boy, you hit the nail right on the head there.
Now, why would I say something so dumb?
I don't know.
I don't remember what I said. Help me out.
I listen to you all the time. You're my shot in the arm.
Well, it makes sense from your perspective and your individual brain.
And I guess that's true, but doggone.
Well, are you better than God?
No way.
I think I'm going to have to change this channel. I'm sorry.
Oh, no!
Great stuff, Dr. Ray. I'm glad I called.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
I'm doing a little calculating. I noticed that the pros and cons on those bumper drops are about 50-50. 50% are happy they called. 50% are saying, no, you didn't help me. Of course, it depends what measuring stick you use. If I were a pro baseball player, and it used to be if I batted 300, I'd be in the Hall of Fame. Well, now if I'm batting 265, I got a $25 million a year contract. So it depends where you compare yourself. But I've been noticing that, Andrew. About half of them are celebratory toward me, and about the other half are saying, I'm not calling you again. I don't know. I'm liking to think that you just kind of had to go to other programs and get those negative ones. I'm Dr. Ray Guarendi. Program here, Doctor is in. Number to call if you'd like to be in, as in cool. 877-573-7825. My producer man, Andrew Kruchek, is also doing the call screaming today. He's watching the boards. He's doing it all. There at Ave Maria Radio Network, who is cooperating with EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network to produce this program. 877-57-EQUAL. That is the number to call. I want to do just a bunch of announcements before I get into the monologue. By the way, why would you want to call? Situations in your life, perspectives. I'm a psychologist. That's what I do for a living. I was at the office this morning. I'll be at the office this afternoon. But in between, I'm with you. And I'm not going to do professional psychology here. Can't do that. But I can educate, give some ideas and thoughts, ponder your situation, and throw out a few options for you to consider. I want to congratulate... Let's see who we got. I should have done this yesterday, but I didn't do it, and they are a big group here. KSGSFM 99.9, serving Rio Grande City, Texas. 15 years on the network. Congratulations, Terrell Smith and his team at Good News Catholic Radio. And then, got another one. Radio partner needs to hear from you next week. Siouxland Catholic Radio, serving Sioux City and Storm Lake, Iowa. They got their spring drive coming up on Tuesday, so support them. I want to thank Queen of Heaven last night for a very, very nice turnout on the Logic of Being Catholic Talk. Thank you so very, very much. Answering a question I got, Dr. A, you are into physical fitness. Do you jog to stay fit? I've been jogging, little Freudian slip there. I have been jogging for, I'd say the last 3 years. Every morning, I get up and I jog 5 times around the block. And when I'm done, I take the block and I put it back in my grandson's toy box. So there you have it. I do jog to stay fit. 877-573-7825 is the number to call. I would very much like to hear from you. Situation regarding a kid, a grown-up, an elderly, a job, an emotion, something that perplexes you about psychology in general, intellect in general, diagnoses in general, faith intersection with the psyche in general, whatever. And if you have a comment to help a previous caller, that is always welcome. You get extra credit for that. A few days off of purgatory, maybe lopped off. 877-57-EQUAL. That is the number to call. All right, I'm going to give you a dirty communication trick. This is something you can do when you get into an argument with somebody and you want to add some oomph to your argument. Here's how you do it. when you're trying to make your point, let's say, for example, your spouse hasn't really called like he or she should have when they're going to be late. And this has been a pattern in the relationship, and it's caused inconvenience for you. So you get into an argument, and your spouse defends him or herself and says, well, that's just not me all the time, and you're the only one that seems to be bothered by that. And here's when you get them. I'm the only one that seems to be bothered? I'm not the only one who thinks this. Your brother has come to me a couple of times and said, how do you put up with that? So you see what I'm doing? I'm citing witnesses, people who I cite as agreeing with me. Now, whether they do or whether they don't, I can bring them up as my character witnesses against you. See, this isn't just you and me going back and forth. I got people who think like I do about your shortcomings. Yeah. And the more I can cite, the better. Now, your brother's not the only one either. Your mother told me when we first got married how, you're going to have to realize you're going to have to put up with that because he just sometimes just doesn't show up when he's supposed to show up, and that's been a problem. Ever since he was a teenager, it's been a problem. See, your mother pointed that out to me too. Now, the problem with doing that is, first of all, I don't suspect that the people you cite as witnesses want to be witnesses. They probably wouldn't like you pulling them into your argument. That's the first thing. Second thing is, what did you do to their relationship with your arguee? In other words, they didn't know that these other people think like that. You said they think like that. You said they were critical of him or her. I hate doing that. Him or her, him or her. Just say him. But what happens is, perhaps you will resolve this discord, but they're left out hanging because now you have said this is what they think of you. And they can't defend themselves because they didn't even know they were cited. All they know is that perhaps your spouse, if that's who it is a little cooler toward them now. Because he found out they were kind of criticizing him behind his back. Ooh. You see what you did? You get into an argument and you're trying to make your case. Make your case. Don't cite witnesses who may not want to be cited and who you may hurt the relationship with the person you're arguing with for them. It's a dirty communication trick. I'm not the only one who thinks this way. Let me name some other people who do, just to show you your position isn't as strong as you think. You're not just arguing against me. You're arguing against a whole bunch of other people, and I could cite more, too. Ooh, that's dirty fighting. Do your best to avoid that. Well, I got to take a break. I'm Dr. Ray.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
Your best leadership style isn't copied, it's cultivated. Your natural talents are the foundation that enables you to lead with clarity, authenticity, and purpose. Strategic thinking is one of the 4 Clifton Strengths domains. These talents help leaders absorb information, anticipate challenges, and make smart decisions. They are trust builders. Analytical leaders clarify complexity. Context leaders honor the past to guide the future. Futuristic leaders inspire with vision. Ideation sparks innovation. Input gathers gathers resources, intellection deepens dialogue, learner models growth, and strategic, they cut through the clutter and chart the course forward. When you embrace these strengths, you create a Christ-centered culture of insight, foresight, and trust. Great leadership starts with knowing your strengths. This has been a Christ-centered communication message. I'm Vanessa Denhagarmo, a communications evangelist and host of Epiphany.
Step away from the noise and return to what truly matters at Maryville Retreat Center in Holly. From retreats for married couples and those discerning their vocation, to directed silent retreats and evening prayer services, even exploring scripture through art, Maryville offers sacred space to rest, pray, and renew your spirit individually or as a family. Visit their website at maryvilleretreatcenter.org or call 248-634-5566.
Dr. Ray, did you ever play chess against a computer? I did. The computer crushed me in chess, but I crushed it in kickboxing. You got to know what competition to choose. Now, I'm really reluctant to take Glenna's call here because a lot of people for Lent give up beer or any kind of alcohol, wine, anything like that. And I did, but I don't drink much. I mean, maybe I'll have a small glass of wine once every 2 months or something. But she's calling from Champaign, and I don't know if that would count as me breaking my Lenten fast regarding that. Hi, Glenna.
Hi, Ray. Dr. Ray.
Ray's perfectly fine, my dear.
Okay.
Tell me what's going on with your elderly friend.
Well, she has an adult son living with her. Her husband had passed away in the past couple of years. But we're concerned because the son does not work. He doesn't go out of the house. He's pretty much a recluse. And since my friend is getting older and has health issues, I'm worried about her son, and what's going to become of him.
How old is he?
35.
35. Has he ever been on his own?
No.
No. Do you see him as having developmental issues, or no, this is just a very comfortable lifestyle he's gotten used to?
I think it's just that this is what he's used to, and I don't think he has developmental issues, no.
So he is capable of taking care of himself, in your opinion?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you're facing a reality teacher. In other words, if and when his mom passes away, how old is she, Glenna? How old is mom?
She's in her 80s.
Oh, okay. So she's up there. Okay. And her health issues are fragile. So
Yeah.
okay, this could be happening sometime in the next 5 years.
We hope not, but yes, it could.
Okay. So what do you think will happen to him? Will he just stay in the house and take it over from there?
I think so, and probably just, I don't know, let it fall down around him. I'm not sure.
We don't know a couple of things. One, are there other children?
No.
Okay, so he stands to inherit it all, right?
Correct.
Okay, so he's going to get the house. He's going to get whatever funds she has. So,
Yeah.
as you look at it, you think he'll live
I
off
think
of?
financially comfortable, I guess. I don't know. I really don't know what the situation is.
Okay.
But, I think that's at least how he feels.
Well, there's probably nothing you're going to do to convince him otherwise, is there?
I don't think so. I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know if there's. That's what I'm calling for. I don't know if there's anything I can do other than I don't want to just sit and be judgmental of him and talk behind his back or anything like that, but I don't know.
Well, Glenna, you're not being judgmental if you're just looking at reality. If you're saying that this adult has pretty much lived off his mother, and maybe she wants him there too. That's the other thing. She may want him there.
Well, right now, the fact that he's there, yes, but the fact that he has no social outlets. I don't know that he has any friends other than maybe contacts that he has on the internet. I don't know.
Well, if you're saying, what can I do? Probably the one thing that's within your power is if and when his mom passes away, you can somehow connect with him socially. Visit, go out to breakfast, call him, whatever you want to do, until he makes it clear he doesn't really care to have any contact with you. Or he may welcome it. You won't know that until it all happens. The other thing is reality. For example, if you say, I don't know what's going to become of him, well, the reality will be if he doesn't have the financial resources, he will be forced to do something. Now, he may be able to use all kinds of government programs to get by. That can happen. Or he may say, I've got to get a job because I want to eat. That's more powerful than probably any kind of persuasion you would have.
Right. Yes.
Like St. Paul says, let him who does not work not eat.
Yeah.
So at this point, you're kind of watchful waiting. You're looking at the situation and you're saying, well, right now, it seems to be of benefit for both of them. He gets to live this reclusive life without any kind of motivation. And she has him there for emergencies or company or security or whatever it is. And then if she passes away, he's either going to live there on the basis of what she left him as long as he could and continue to stay reclusive, other than perhaps contacts from you, or he'll be forced to do something because he'll run out of resources.
Yeah.
So you're sort of in a situation right now that you just watchful waiting is what I would call it.
Okay. All right.
All righty, my dear.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome, Glenna. Glenna brings up a good point. She says, I don't want to be judgmental. She's not being judgmental. She's simply saying, this is how I see it. All right, he's reclusive. He has no social outlets. He's 35 years old. He's amotivated. She's not saying he's a wretched human being that deserves to burn in hell. She's not saying any of that. I think sometimes we confuse judgmentalism with reality. I said to my wife this morning, I said, I think you could even go so far as to say somebody's acting like a jerk. But it doesn't mean you hate him. It doesn't mean you won't pray for him. It doesn't mean you wouldn't help them if they were in a situation where you could help them. It just means they're acting like a jerk. Now, maybe your perception of them acting like a jerk is off, but I think there's a confusion here. As a psychologist, I have to be judgmental in the sense that I've got to exercise some kind of judgment over their conduct and what it's doing to them or other people in their lives. I got to do that. I can't say, well, whatever's good for you. If that's what makes you happy and you're content that way, or even if you're not content, if that's just what you're choosing to do and you want to be miserable about it and you want to mistreat your wife because of it, well, who am I to say? No, I got to make judgments. That's a terrible thing to do. I'm not being not a Christian by doing that. Okay, let's see. I got time? Yeah, I got time. Let's go to Julie, calling from St. Louis. Covenant Radio, Turf, big network there. Hi, Julie.
Hello. This is my second time ever calling in.
Wow, how long did you, Julie? How long did you wait for the second time? Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know. It says my phone's been on the phone for 15 minutes, but that doesn't. that's calling in and talking to the screener, and it includes all of that.
Yeah, but I mean, the first time you called, how long ago was that?
Oh, a long time ago. A while ago.
You waited this long to call me again?
I know, right?
Well, no wonder you're struggling.
I know. I have a lot of struggle buses in my life.
So what does, hey, Julie, what does autistic level 2 mean?
Well, from what I understand, it involves a lot of verbal stuff and hitting, from what I'm seeing. And we have been suspended from school several times, even though he has an IEP, for what they call inappropriate speech and conduct, even though it's just his autism and being dysregulated. Like, I have a person that's a parent advocate for the kid. I mean, I guess a child advocate for school. And she says what they're doing is illegal to him. They're encroaching upon his FAPE, which is the free access to free education. And I just had him try out a St. Louis Academy, which was a place for autistic kids, and he hit the principal. Was only there for an hour. And so I don't know what to do.
How old is he, Julie?
And what resources are. He's
How old
6.
is he? He's 6. And
6.
You say he's autistic. What level does he function at developmentally?
Well, all I know is that there's 3 levels of autism. So he was diagnosed with level 2, and they said they could go down to 1, but right now he said 2.
So he has language. He does have language, correct?
Yes. He speaks.
Okay, and does he have the IEP because of conduct or because of academic abilities?
I think both, and just because he also comes with cerebral palsy and frontal onset epilepsy. Luckily, he's walking. Luckily, it was very, very, very light version of cerebral palsy. He didn't take his first steps until 21 months and was in a lot of therapy. But to get there,
so there are developmental delays.
Yes.
All right. Does he hit you?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And my parents.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And anyone who tries to redirect or tell him to do something or instruct.
So it sounds like he's a rather significant behavior problem, not only for you, but for the school.
Right.
And he's always been.
But he has a good heart. He means well. I know he does.
The question becomes, how much of this is autistic guided poor control and how much of it is under his control, even though he's diagnosed autistic level 2, he has the functioning, say, of maybe a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old, which would still be able to be controlled by good limits and good discipline, correct?
Correct. I think we're lacking on that. I think a lot of things play into it. We don't have the healthiest of marriage. I'm trying not to get upset.
Okay, so you got a whole big cauldron of ingredients here
He's
that are
listening right now. I told him to listen. I told him I was calling you.
Well, and I'm not going to be fair to you by giving you just a very brief answer. If you came in my office, I could talk.
Oh, I know. I'm just looking for guidance.
Well, what guidance is, you're going to have to get this situation under control. Yeah, the fact that he's autistic doesn't mean necessarily that he can punch people.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah.
Okay, so stay right there. I will conclude this call on the other side if it's okay with you. This is Dr. Ray, 877-573-7825. 877-57-EQUAL. A lot of time left. So you call now. We'll get you on. Talk to Andrew Kruchek and then hopefully talk to me. Thank you for joining me, Dr. Ray Guarendi here. Program The Doctor is in Monday through Friday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Co-production, EWTN Global Catholic Radio. And Ave Maria. Radio communications. I always wanted to be one of those guys that say that stuff at the end of commercials where they have 10 seconds to get in 755 words. You can't even understand one word that they're saying, but they're so good at it. I'm talking to Julie from St. Louis. She has a 6-year-old who's been diagnosed as autistic level 2, which is moderate. He has language. There are some delays. He has special ed in school, but he's been suspended a number of times because of his violent outbursts. And Julie kind of has said, well, yeah, there's been behavior problems, and there's a lot more complex dynamics here. You still there, Julie? Oh, Julie, still there, dear? There you go.
I am. Mm-hmm.
I got you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, let me give you several quick suggestions, obviously. One, because he is diagnosed autistic does not mean he can't learn behavior control. Yeah, in extreme cases, that can happen, but what typically happens is the old he's a special child kind of theme that pervades parenting, which means you've allowed a lot because you were in doubt as how much he could control himself. So you allowed a lot, and perhaps he's developed an awful lot of just aggressive kind of habits. That sound about right?
I think so, if we're going to be honest with ourselves.
Okay. Secondly, you're going to have to develop some good discipline skills. Some real good discipline skills. You're going to have to follow through. You're going to have to set limits. You're going to have consequences. Now, obviously, I can't do that for you in a 4-minute radio call. I hate to push my own book, but I have a book called Discipline That Lasts a Lifetime. It is by far my biggest seller. It is 100 of the most common discipline questions I get asked about all kinds of stuff. How do you get him to take his discipline? How do you get him to stand in the corner? What do you do when he swings at you? How do you get him to see there's going to be consequences? All those questions are in that book, Discipline That Lasts a Lifetime. It'll give you 50 times more than anything I could give you now, maybe more than 100 times more. If you go to my website, drray.com, it is there. That book is there. It has just been re-released by EWTN and Sophia because it used to be with Franciscan, and it was I guess you could call it a bestseller because the number of sales on it is big, and I think that's because it taps into struggles like your own, Julie, which is how do I get this kid under control? Because when he's going to be 10, he's going to be beating the snot out of me. So and the fact that you can't get him in school, so all of that. I would suggest that. And I would also suggest, if you can, you find a therapist who will work with you, not your son, with you. And you say, look, here's what's going on. I need help. I need ideas on how to get this under control. Because if it's not under control, it's only going to get worse.
Right.
So, and now you kind of implied this. I'm not going to chase it, but you implied there's marital issues. So
there are.
Marital issues typically spill over into parent issues. And when you got parent issues, now the kid is going to start acting worse. So you're right, my dear. So you got a whole brew there going on. And let's as you being the stable adult in this, let's get you to get this situation under better control. Now, you can do this. I get a lot of people in my office with 6-year-olds who are violent. It's not unusual. But believe it or not, you can bring them under control. Okay?
Do you know where I could find a therapist? Because it seems like everywhere I go, they don't work with anybody under 10.
Well, I don't want you to work with anybody under 10. I want them to work with you.
Well, I know, but what about ABA therapy? I guess.
Well, yeah, you can get that. Yeah. I would suggest this. You call the people over at Covenant Radio. They would be aware. They would be aware of people in your area that could help you.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Thank you, Dr.
All
Ray.
right, honey. Good luck. Good luck to you. That is, that's a situation that I feel frustrated about because I want to give her so much help. I do. I want to do things because you see in a situation like this where you got a 6-year-old that's just flailing out. Much of the time there are significant behavior problems, and the swinging is only one. It's the one that is the most urgent at the moment. But at the same time, it's a wide range of behavior resistance. It's a wide range of defiance. It's a wide range of lack of control on the parent's part. And again, I see it all the time. A diagnosis can confuse parents because they wonder, how much does he actually understand? How much of this is due to his significant diagnoses, whatever it is? And I always say this to parents, except in the most extreme cases, whatever the diagnosis is, you can still deal with the conduct. And one of the analogies I use, and I'll get to your calls here after the break, so thank you for your patience. One of the analogies I use, I say, do you have a dog? And a lot of people will say, yeah, about 50% of people. Yeah. Are you going to wait until your dog understands not to pee in your house before you train him not to pee in your house? Well, no. Right. You're going to train him. You're going to use certain behavior techniques to show him this is what we have to do to get your bladder under control. Well, the vast majority of kids are smarter than dogs, you know? Except maybe Lassie or Rin Tin Tin. Okay, I got that part. But at the same time, they can understand much more than a dog. So, all right, I got about 30 seconds. 877-573-7825. 877-57 That is the number to call to get onto the program. And my daughter just sent me a picture, a little video here of my newest granddaughter. Kind of sweet. There she is. Right. Got that. Wow. I'm Dr. Ray. 877-57 is the number to call to get onto the program. I thank you for joining me here Monday through Friday. 1 o'clock Eastern Time is the program's air date. Dr. Ray. Dr. Ray, do you have social media? Yeah, you want to follow me at my age. You can follow me the bulletin board at Kroger or my chart. That's my two places. No, okay, I do have social media. Let's go to Kathy calling from Cincinnati, Ohio, Sacred Heart Radio. Hi, Kathy.
Hello.
Thanks for the call.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Sure, what's up?
Okay, I have a question. We have, my husband and I are remarried after the death of our spouse, and this has been, years, since 2007. Anyway, we're remarried. We each have 3 kids, and we have 14 grandchildren now. What I'm wondering is, as we're spending time with the grandkids, one of the grandchildren was using the Lord's name in vain. And I hesitate to overstep my boundaries and not knowing whether to say something or not. It's hard for me to hear. It's a kid, so I realize they're young. But I'm
How old is the child, Kathy?
6, 8.
6 or 8. You could do two things. One, you could ask, you say, how are you hearing that? How do you know to say that? You could ask that. Or you could probably take the safer route and go to the parents and say, I'm hearing him say blah. Did you know that? Kind of thing. Oh, yeah, he's picking it up from his dad. Yeah, his dad talks like that all the time. Okay, well, I just figured to let you know. Now, got to figure, Kathy, if he's doing that with you, he's doing it at home.
Right.
So either they're not dealing with it or they don't care.
Yeah, my guess is they probably don't realize it's not right.
Okay. Well, do one of two things. First of all, you start out by talking to the parent. Say, here's what I'm hearing. Do you hear that too at home? Oh, yeah, I didn't think anything of it. Okay, all right. Well, how about if at my house I tell him we don't talk that way? Is that okay with you? That's the two-step approach I'd take.
Okay.
And then I'd tell him, I'd say, honey, that's not a good way to talk. We don't talk that way here. God is someone we love very, very much, and we don't want to use his name like that.
All righty, that sounds like great advice. Thank you.
Now, see, you just said that, and I know Andrew is not going to take that and put it in part of a bumper. He's not going to say, all righty, that sounds like great advice. See, he won't do that. I have to pay him to put those ones up on bumpers.
Well, maybe it's worth it.
Is he paying you? Okay. Thanks,
Right.
Kathy. All right, hon. Bye.
All right, thank you, Dr. Ray.
Okay. I really didn't get into any details on exactly how he was using God's name. Was he actually using it in the most forceful way, or was it sadly the way that people now use it all the time? OMG, which is again kind of sad. Taisha from Albany, Georgia. Hi, Taisha.
Hi.
Thank you for calling, dear. What's going on?
I have 2 children that are same-sex attraction, and I feel bad because I feel like maybe it's my fault. I might have done something wrong for them to be like that. And one of them is really angry. I don't know if he's angry with God because he's like that and feel rejected.
How old are your kids, Taisha?
They're adults. They're 32 and one of them is 32 and one of them is 36.
Why do you think that you might have caused some of that?
I don't know. I just feel bad that out of 3 kids, I got all 3 of them actually. One of them bisexual, and the other 2 are same-sex attraction, and I just feel like, why me?
Well, I can't know, Taisha. I can't know exactly what it is about your kids who are expressing their same-sex attraction. I can't know if they had some gender confusion when they were very young. I can't know if they've been shaped by our culture, and those are very, very powerful forces now shaping same-sex attraction in more and more people. That's just the way it is. Social media does it. The media does it. Our culture at large does it. So it's not unusual. Sounds like Tom Jones. It's not unusual for a higher percentage of adults, young adults, and even late teens to claim either bisexual, which basically means I can have physical relations with either sex, or same sex. That's not unusual. It's I will tell you this. 25 years ago as a therapist, I rarely talked to parents who said, my young adults are claiming same-sex attraction. Now, it's one of the most common referrals that they will ask me about. So something in our culture has changed very much. Now, somebody would say, well, no, Dr. Ray, you're wrong because 25 years ago it was not as accepted and therefore there were male in the closet. Yeah, there's that component. But I got to believe that there's something in the culture that is shaping the way more and more people think, Taisha. So how that's relevant to you is that you may have done nothing to bring that about. It just simply may be what dynamics are at play in terms of your kids. If you're asking, and in the question you say, I don't know how to relate to them. Well, you relate to them as your kids. They're your young adult kids. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to celebrate their behavior. It simply means that you have the same relationship with them that you would otherwise have, and you pretty much probably avoid those areas where you disagree.
Okay.
I mean, that's it. And just to blame yourself, to say, well, I don't know what I did. Maybe there's just something missing about what I did. You can't know that. You can't go back and say, how do I know what it is if I don't know what it is? You can't do that. Maybe you could ask them, say, how is it? When did you know or decide that you wanted to be same-sex attracted? How was that?
Well, they were very, very young when that was happening. And as a matter of fact, 2 of them were molested.
And that's unfortunate because that is oftentimes in the history of someone who is same-sex attracted. There was molestation.
Yeah.
That's not your fault.
So they weren't born. Were they born like that?
I can't know. I don't know your kids. Okay. I do know that, yes, there is some percentage of young people, very young people, who gender-wise don't necessarily develop with the same attractions as most. On the other hand, our culture very, very much pushes same-sex attraction in the way it comes across in its media, in its entertainment, in its celebration. And so, yes, I'm convinced there is a percentage of same-sex attracted folks who otherwise would not be same-sex attracted had they not lived in this culture at this time. Okay. All righty, my dear. Thank you, Taisha, for the call. God bless you. This is Dr. Ray.
This program brought to you in part by Ave Maria, Florida, a big kind of small town where golf carts take you everywhere and there's always something fun around the corner. Discover championship golf, resort-style amenities, and a town center full of shopping and dining. With Ave Maria University and Ave Maria Catholic Church at its heart, it's a community full of connection and charm. More than 25 model homes are available for viewing. More information can be found at avemaria.com. That's avemaria.com.
Fire on the Earth's Peter Herbeck.
Without the light that comes from Christ, we walk in darkness. And darkness is a way of describing this fallen world in which we don't know why we're here even. We can't touch meaning because we ultimately can't see God, and we can't be satisfied because we were made for God. We were made as this entire creation. The whole cosmos was made to the glory of God. It all exists to reveal the glory and the majesty, the beauty, the complexity, the creative love and power of God. And all of it gives praise to Him, except for fallen angels and rebellious human hearts. We're made literally to live for the glory of God, to worship Him, to give thanks to Him. That's what heaven is. It's not just a big prayer meeting, but it is the full celebration of free souls and creatures just overwhelmed by the majesty and beauty of God. And we're sharing in it. We're not just watching it like we do on a movie, that when it's over, it's over. We're in it. We're sharing in the life. And it's total and absolute fulfillment. We can't hardly even imagine what that's like. The best we can do in this world is to have some measure of distraction or something that makes me feel good temporarily. or temporary goals that we kind of have hope in. Those intermediate goals are good goals, but they don't solve the big problem. They don't produce genuine heart that brings peace to the soul and transformation.
Peter Herbeck spreads fire on the earth, weekday mornings at 6:30 and again at 11:45 on Ave Maria Radio.
Last segment, let's get to it. Andrea from Erie, Pennsylvania, home of Father Larry Richards. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. Oh, you're facing something that a whole lot of parents are facing these days.
I know it.
Is she determined? She's gonna live with him no matter what?
No, she's actually on the fence about it. She is a pretty logical kid. I mean, she's in her early 20s, but of course I still think of her as a kid. And she understands why she shouldn't, especially faith-wise, why that shouldn't happen. But I think that, the desire to do it is sort of outweighing that. And when I tend to get too lectury about things is when I kind of lose her in, conversation. So I'm kind of just trying to come up with a plan as like, okay, if she does decide that this is something she wants to do, what would be the best approach? Should I don't want to just guilt and shame her into, trying to get her not to do it because I don't think that would work.
Why is she waffling?
It probably wouldn't be nice.
Why is she waffling?
Why is she what?
Why is she waffling? In other words, she's got mixed feelings. Where are the mixed feelings coming from?
From her faith, because she knows that it's not something that, is within God's plan that she should do. She knows that she should be married first. So she's kind of struggling with, what she feels like she wants to do versus what she knows she should do.
Okay, to ask her a few questions. Say, what is the appeal to living with your boyfriend? Now, we figure, okay, if God says don't do it that way, there's got to be a reason not to do it that way. So we can approach it from a very practical way. We say, what's the appeal for living with him? And then whatever she tells you, well, finances, well, I like to be with him, well, we can share costs, well, he's really easy to be with. And then ask her this. Do you think that living with your boyfriend will make it more or less likely that you'll eventually get married? Okay, that's the first question. And then you ask her this. You follow it up. You say, do you think that if you get married, you'll be more or less likely to divorce if you lived with him first? Now, hear her answer and say, well, the research is overwhelming. If you live with somebody first, you're much more likely to be divorced if you marry.
Okay.
Her mindset probably is the cultural misguided mindset, which is, well, you got to get to know someone. You got to live with them to find out if it's a right fit.
That was brought up, and I said, well, you guys have been dating for years. You know each other. There's no mystery as to how each other live each other's lives and all of that. So,
well, you can bring up that point. You can say, because she thinks it's going to be less likely that they'll divorce or more likely that they'll get married and have a good marriage if they live together, because they'll really know if they're meant for each other. And you can point out to her, well, the odds are not on your side.
Okay.
And you can tell her, you can say, well, if there is a God, then he knows the best way to do it. Why do you think he would say don't do it that way? Get her to answer you as opposed to you telling her, well, this is. Then because she's going to shut you down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know that.
I do. That's always where we kind of lose it. Is that where I feel like I'm just telling, and then she doesn't want to hear it. So
get her to explain herself out loud so she can hear her own words Most people, they think in fragments or they think disjointed, and when they have to explain themselves out loud, it's like, ooh, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it?
Now, do you think that it would be too, I'm trying to think of the word, too far for me to say something along the lines of, after discussing this, if it is something that you decide to do, you just have to understand that you're not going to receive help from me about it because... Well,
I've got about 20 seconds, real quick. You're not going. Yeah, you can tell her I'm not going to support you. I'm not going to move you in, and I'm not going to pay your rent. I'm not going to do any of that. But that doesn't mean I don't love you, and I won't love your boyfriend either. I will still treat you with respect and warmth and love. Because otherwise, you'll lose the relationship. She knows where you stand. You don't have to say I have to act a certain way. I gotta go. Up against the clock. Walk with God.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.